gap of roughly $250,000 to keep the festivities on par with previous years. A benefit concert Sunday night was meant to help finish up that fundraising effort. This is Nashville producer Josh Deepen joined the crowd at Marathon Music Works.
Nashville Pride has sounded the alarm bell after suddenly losing significant corporate support.
We lost 40% of our revenue due to sponsorships, and we're trying to cover the deficit.
That's Nashville Pride president Tina Tousignant. She and others put together a benefit concert featuring drag performers and musicians at Marathon Music Works, hoping to fill the gap.
Marathon donated the space and the time, and all the artists have donated their time to help us have a fundraiser tonight, and it's all to raise the money to cover the deficit and get us into next year.
I spoke with musician Angie Kay backstage before the concert. She says this year is not the same as others.
I think that there's a lot of people feeling a lot of heaviness and fear over being accepted in where they live, whether it's in a city or further out. And I think that's what Pride's about. It's about reaching people from all over the country, that letting them know there's a place they can come and be celebrated, not just tolerated.
Even just this year, the things that we thought were normal are not normal anymore. People that we thought would stand with us are not always doing it anymore, and it is hard.
The concert had a surprise guest speaker, none other than the ever-ubiquitous mayor of Nashville, Freddie O'Connell. He encouraged the crowd to keep speaking out about their community's needs.
The loud can't stop tonight. It has to continue tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that.
Mayor O'Connell mentioned a place you've likely heard of. A place you're listening to right now, actually, as an example of how community engagement can close the gap, even against a pretty high tide.
But here's why I am so hopeful. Even when, in a moment of desperate silence, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting shut down, here in Nashville, WPLN listeners made sure that in a week, they raised the entire funding deficit. And that's a big deal. And I know that this incredible community can make sure that Nashville Pride does not get silenced.
Nashville Pride has set the fundraising deadline for this Saturday, October 11th, which is National Coming Out Day. Reporting for This Is Nashville, Josh Deepen, WPLN News.
And so glad that Mayor O'Connell is proud of WPLN listeners, as am I. Of course, some technicalities in there. That it was an emergency fundraiser that filled the gap for this year. Then there's next year and the year after that and the year after that. But some of the same questions that Nashville Pride is facing, what funding looks like going into the future. Live in the studio, fully recovered from those festivities, I'm sure, we have the president of Nashville Pride, Tina Tousignant. Welcome to This Is Nashville.
Thank you so much for having me.
And a reminder, to Tina's son and others who are watching. We're streaming video from the studio today. You can watch at youtube.com/@WPLN. If you can't find it, just click on that live tab and it should be easy to find. So it sounds like people had a pretty good time at the concert anyway. The mayor was very supportive. But was it the fundraiser that you needed?
It was great. It was very productive and helpful. It helped us get over the edge and close that gap that we needed. The main part of the donations was from the community. It wasn't from big sponsors or anything like that. We had about 1,000 donations that came in that started the money coming in for us.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to worry about big sponsors or anything. It was the community that got together and strung together and helped each other.
Well, so have you all got a final total or still counting?
So far right now, we're at $145,000, which has helped us close the gap from the bills and helps it launch us into the next fiscal year.
Yeah.
We still have a ways to go to keep it going and moving. We do have... in addition to we have secured $150,000 in new organizational commitments to support the 2026 Pride Festival.
New commitments of
new
$150,000.
Yes, that have signed on and said they're definitely going to help us and donate their money.
Yeah.
So that's good. That keeps us going, you know, and it's not ending. We started August 29th, and it was only a short 6 weeks. And the 250,000 was, a big ask and a big say, but we got it started and we got it going. And in 6 weeks to bring up that much money, we did a really good job. The community strung together and worked together.
Did you sign up for this? It's like a 1 year. The president of 1 year. Did you know what you were getting into?
Well, this past year was my 4th year on the board as the president, and then we had our election, so I'm president again for this next fiscal year.
Yeah.
So I knew it was a big job and a big ask, but I love it. I love being out in the community and talking to people and finding out what's needed and what's wanted and what's important. It's just what I like to do.
Has this funding gap created by sponsors backing away this pretty suddenly, right? Before we're talking a month out from the event in June. Has it gotten you all looking at the budget? I mean, obviously it became a pretty big budget productions. Like there was a lot going on in June. Can you kind of give people an idea of how the organization does spend money? Because I know it's not just a parade anymore.
No, I mean, we put the festival together. We do the parade.
The festival's a big concert with some pretty big names this year, right?
It's a big task.
Yeah.
And not just the festival, we do things all year long. We put on events, we create safe spaces, we donate to other nonprofits to help keep them going. We work with other LGBTQ businesses. I mean, even little organizations. We try to help them if they need help. We'll sponsor things. Everything. We try to help the community as a whole. Inclusivity, transparency, everything is important to Nashville Pride.
Is the organization grown enough that there's staff for the organization and such?
Right now, it's a volunteer board.
Yeah.
So it's all volunteer work we do. Everybody on the board, we call it, we have our day job, and we call Nashville Pride Board is our gay job. So I had to take a week off last week from my day job to do my gay job, which I don't mind. It's more fun.
Oh, the gay job. I'm going to be thinking about that. That may make our quote of the week list. So you even sending money to other LGBTQ organizations or pride organizations in the state? What does that look like?
Well, sometimes they need help, the smaller groups. Yeah. Like year before last, we had there was trouble with the drag ban possibility and other things.
At the state level, there was legislation.
So we had a couple of smaller prides that were in jeopardy of not being able to have a pride. So we would advertise for them. We donated some money to help them, to keep them going. And it's important not just to have Nashville Pride, but to have pride in the outlying communities where a lot of these people and kids can't get a way in or find people to support them or talk to them. So we need to help these smaller prides stay going so they can support their community.
I know that some of those organizations who had some corporate support have felt the same thing you have, but has anybody felt it to the same degree?
I know Franklin Pride, they had a lot of problems with sponsors dropping out. Yeah. We were advertising for them. They were advertising, trying to find new sponsors. They had a fundraiser, their own, last year for a concert in Franklin to raise money. So they were struggling and having it, but they made it through. They did a good job.
If you're just tuning in, I'm Blake Farmer. This is Nashville. We're talking about the future of Nashville Pride, given the big drop-off in corporate funding that's being felt here and elsewhere around the country. Nashville Pride President Tina Tousignant is with us in the studio here. If you want to watch online, instead of just listen, it's youtube.com/@WPLN. I wonder if you could get kind of step back from this for a moment, and I was just thinking: is pride needed in the same way that it used to be?
It's needed more now than ever.
Talk about that.
Because politicians, people on TV, everybody sees the negativity and the hate being thrown at them. Like telling a young person or a teenager, "You don't know what you're talking about. You're not important. We don't care." That's not good. You need to know that there's someone you can talk to. If you have questions, someone you can talk to and be there to support you. We need to understand everybody. Like some of these people, if you, instead of being against trans, sit down and talk with a trans person. Understand what's going on. Talk to a doctor. Talk to a parent. Find out. Get educated. The more you educate yourself, the more you might understand how people feel different and how they're made up different. And it's needed. It's needed extremely.
For the companies that have dropped off, Did they bother explaining themselves?
The main reason we got was due to money. They were changing their, reallocating funds and stuff like that is basically what we got. But like Vanderbilt, all the stuff they've done against our community, against the trans community and the trans medical stuff that's needed.
Well, I mean, they were feeling pressure, certainly the political pressure, and sort of
Definitely.
responding to that.
Definitely.
Well, and we even specifically with Vanderbilt asked if they had a statement today, and they still kind of have no comment about this, which you probably wouldn't be surprised to hear. But is it fair to assume that it's related to this political backlash against all things DEI?
Basically,
Yeah.
I think so. It's fair because most places are saying DEI, taking it away, and then they're dropping out during the same time. And it could be financial reasons too. We don't really know 100%.
Well, you're almost being forced to move away from corporate pride. And, I believe other cities have even had almost like competing activities because people are like not comfortable with there being so much corporate involvement with pride. Like, is there any benefit in this moment to like going back to, I don't know if your roots is the right word, something like that?
Well, we do. We're going to try to tweak and work on our fundraisers and try to make those even bigger and better to bring more funds in. Try to find different ways to bring money in. If a corporation wants to sponsor us and wants to back our community, we're not going to turn the money away. Come on. If you want to support us, we're going to let you support us because that means they care.
Yeah.
And they want to be there for us. And they appreciate our dollars that we put into their businesses.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we need to find different ways. We cannot depend on sponsors 100%, and that's not what we want to do. We want to depend on donors and people in the community and fundraisers and stuff like that.
Is that new for you all? I mean, I'm guessing that there have been individuals who've given all along, but did things kind of move where it was corporate sponsorships that were sort of paying most of the bills?
The biggest part of it is corporate sponsorships, but we do have donors. But in the past, we've never had this problem this big before, and we've never had to go out and say, hey, we need donors. So when we did come out and say, hey, guys, we need help, we need donors, people were like taken back, like, well, wait a minute, we haven't had to donate before, why now? And it's like, well, because of the environment we're in, politically, the hate coming at us, we need to ask for help. And people did step up. Some of them didn't even blink an eye. They just jumped in and helped.
Well, has it, and I guess if no one was saying there was something that they did not like about the festivities, then perhaps this wasn't an issue. But has it made you all consider like what should be included in the festivities, changing the event in some way so maybe you could keep more sponsors on board?
Well, we're always looking at different ways to tweak it, to make it better, to change it. We listen to the community when they make their comments, and we try to adjust and make it better for everyone.
Yeah.
So we are evaluating that right now.
Is the city, have you all asked the city to step in and help in some way?
We've talked to them, but I don't think the city financially can do that. They help us in other ways. I mean, as far as security, stuff like that, they help us in other ways. And Mayor O'Connell always has our back and comes and speaks
He
and
spoke
talks.
at your event, yes. So,
yeah, he's always there for us.
I wonder in this moment when you're almost making the case more broadly for funding for what you all do, I wonder what stories you find yourself sharing to kind of help people understand the value of pride.
It's a protest. It's standing
Still
up
feels
for
like
what
a protest?
standing up for what we believe in, even now more than ever. Because, like I said, you get the hate thrown at you and the stuff thrown at you and just negative talk.
And when you're saying that, and I think I know what you're saying, but can you kind of fill in the blanks when you're saying the hate sort of thrown at you? Like what is that? Are you thinking of like people on cable news or something sort of spitting stuff, or is there something else like more I don't know, insidious online? Like what are you feeling right now?
It's just the talk that you're mentally ill. You're woke. You're not right. Something's wrong with you. It's like, no, I was created this way. This is how I am. I had somebody in an interview asked one time, someone that was with me, they asked Olivia Hill, they said, when did you know you were trans? And her comment was, when did you know you like girls? And the person interviewing said, well, I've always known that. And he said, well, I've always known that myself. She said, I've always known that myself. And he was like, wow, I understand now what you're saying. It's like, you can't go up to someone and say, you don't know how you feel or what you like. It's like, excuse me, yes, I do. Don't tell me that I'm mentally ill or something's wrong with me. It's not. I'm fine. You're the one that's negative and not understanding. So, but they just keep throwing things like that out there to us, and it hurts, and it's not kind the way you should be.
Just a couple other things before I let you go. I saw that Tampa a couple weeks ago canceled their Pride Parade, or at least maybe called it a one-year hiatus or something. Are you all at the point where there's something considered like that, or is it just a matter of can we do as much as we've done in years past?
No, we don't want to cancel anything. That's why we reached out and we did the fundraisers like we needed to do to close the gap and get us into the next year. And what we can do is we can adjust and monitor stuff and move stuff around. There might be some cutbacks, and Pride might not be as huge in some ways, but we're going to make it fun, and we're going to make it enjoyable, and we're going to make it inclusive for everyone.
And, last thing, what would you say to people who are listening? I know Pride happens in June, kind of never been part of it. I'm not LGBTQ myself. This is not my issue. What might you say to those folks who are having trouble, caring as much as you need them to care?
It's fun. It's love. It's showing that even though everyone is different, you accept everyone. Because like I used to tell my son growing up, if we were all the same, this would be one very boring world. So it's okay to be different. You may not understand some of the people walking around and what they're wearing or what they're doing, but they're happy and they're not hurting anyone. And they want you to be happy too and do what you want to do. So that's what you need to think of. It's like, as long as people are happy and kind and understanding, we should all be happy with that.
Tina Tousignant, president of Nashville Pride, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk Pride's history and expansion since the Nashville inception. We'll also talk Nashville Black Pride, which is this weekend. Stay with us. This is Nashville.
Funding for This is Nashville comes from you, our listeners. And Wildwood Resort and Marina on Cordell Hall Lake, offering corporate and nonprofit retreats, getaways, and celebrations. 1 hour east of Nashville, year-round. More at visitwildwood.com. And Tennessee Performing Arts Center, presenting the Improvised Shakespeare Company October 18th and 19th. Based on suggestions from the audience, actors create an improvised comedic work using the language and style of Shakespeare. Details at tpac.org.
WPLN is giving you a chance to win tickets to see your favorite artists in concert and explore new music and events. Visit the WPLN giveaway page at wpln.org/giveaways.
I'm Rob Schmitz.
I have the honor to announce on behalf of the court that the October 2024 term of the Supreme Court of the United States is now closed, and the October 2025 term is now convened.
The Supreme Court just kicked off a new term. Tomorrow it looks at the timeline for counting mail-in ballots after an election. That's next time on Here and Now.
This afternoon at 1 on 90.3 WPLN News.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. We're looking at the state of Pride in Tennessee today. Nashville Pride's been working to fill a funding gap created by corporate sponsors backing away from the events this year and into the future. Same stories played out in many cities around the country. City of Tampa even announced a one-year hiatus a few weeks ago given the political climate and funding shortfall. We're going to step back from this moment, talk a bit about the Pride, the history of Pride with Jef Ellis, who co-founded the Dare newspaper, later called Query. He was there, I believe, for the very first Pride event in 1988. Is that right?
I was indeed.
Well, thank you for being on the show today.
It's my pleasure.
And Dwayne Jenkins arrived in Nashville by way of New York City 30 years ago or so. He helped advocate for HIV/AIDS awareness with Nashville Cares and is now board president of Nashville Black Pride. Welcome to This Is Nashville.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for making time, even while you are, trying to, I'm sure put out fires, because Nashville Pride is literally starting today, Nashville Black Pride.
Yes.
Reminder to the audience, we are streaming video at youtube.com/@WPLN if you'd like to join us on YouTube with video. So, Jef, I was looking at photos from the original Pride Parade, which is so interesting.
Yeah.
I noticed a couple things. First, it was pretty subdued. I mean, I think the numbers were something like 250, 300 people. But you saw same-sex couples holding hands and walking, which I'm sure was kind of a statement at the time.
Exactly.
Otherwise, not a ton. Well, at least the pictures weren't overly celebratory or something. But there were also quite a few photos, at least of what's sort of been kept, since 1988, of protesters, which you could imagine with posters, some of them with, Christians saying homosexuality is a sin. There were even quite a few photos of skinheads who would come out to it, one with a big Confederate flag. I wonder, though, what sticks with you from that first parade in 1988?
Well, in 1988, we were living in a completely different time than we are now. And there were about 200 people who took part in Pride actively that year. And as the parade was progressing from Fannie Mae Dees Park to Centennial Park, there were so many people, spectators, lining the parade route. And it became very apparent that most of them were people who wanted to be in the parade, but they didn't feel safe to do that. Oh. And there were really just a handful of protesters, and it was a very joyful experience.
Yeah.
And everybody was really excited about it. But people were also being a little circumspect about what they were doing. Sure. Because it was a very frightening possibility that you might lose your job.
Really?
If you were identified. And so I was lucky. I was editor of a gay newspaper.
Well, I think you probably are safe in that job.
Yeah, and so I was not going to lose my job.
Right. Yeah.
And so the things I remember is that it was a very grassroots experience. And the people who put it on were just as excited and as involved as people are today.
Well, I'm even thinking of my own words. I called it leading into this that it's been a celebration, but as you describe it, it's like, well, no, of course, it really started as a protest, not a celebration.
It was, but the Nashville Pride came about as a result of the 1987 March on Washington for Lesbian and Gay Rights. And the people from Nashville who had gone to that event came back very energized and wanted to make a statement and to be public and to create a sense of community. Mm. And when we started the paper, our goal was to create a sense of community so that people could come together and share ideas and thoughts and plans for the future.
But the paper predated the initial Pride. Is it?
No.
Okay.
Actually, we started in March of 1988.
Oh, so it all kind of started around the same time?
Exactly.
Okay. Dwayne, what were these events like by the time you, well, for instance, I assume you were in New York City with some of those same early Pride events that were there?
Okay, right.
What was it like by the time you started when you were in Nashville, I think in the mid-'90s? How did it compare to what was going on in New York at the time?
Well, I'm from New York, from the Bronx, but I was in Buffalo. I attended Buffalo State College. So I was in Buffalo, and there was no Pride or anything that I could remember at the time. There were groups that were doing things for the queer community that you knew about. But I wasn't necessarily, because, when you're on college, it's a different campus. You're on campus things, you're really sort of, your eyes are going in a different direction at the time. But when I got here in 94, the two big things that I noticed was Nashville Pride and then Nashville Cares AIDS Walk were the two big events that were going on. So I would participate in that and just go to it and had a great time. I think it was at the riverfront and then at the Centennial Park.
And that is the other thing that I noticed. I guess there were three things in the photos, was that it was very HIV/AIDS focused in those early days, it seemed. What do you recall?
Yes, it definitely was. Nashville Cares was out there, and then there were some other organizations doing the work, trying to get the word out. Again, this is mid-90s, like I said, so it was really important just to educate the community, let them know that the agency was there to assist if they needed case management, if they needed anything like that. But then also, as Tina was saying before, it's a pride, it's a celebration. So we had to be, of course, at the Nashville Cares AIDS Walk, but then we also had to be at Nashville Pride as an agency to be there to show that there was, that partnership from the very beginning.
When did you start to see elected officials joining in,
I think I remember them from 94.
Really? That there were already at least some. Yeah, I was just thinking, it seems pretty standard these days. It's like, well, the mayor and state representatives are going to be there. Jef, do you recall, like in those first days, was the mayor part of that?
Not
that
in
would have been
1988,
Bredesen or
I don't believe.
Boner?
But probably the next year, because things did really kick off.
Well, I guess in the first year, like you said, you're not sure how the community is going to respond.
Exactly.
Are people going to lose jobs?
Exactly. And going back to what you were saying about the involvement around the AIDS issue, that was such a big part of the community in the late 80s and early 90s. And so that, of course, was a big focus of everything we did in the community then. I remember the first woman to run for mayor in Nashville was Betty Nixon. She was on Metro Council. And Betty campaigned in the gay community. And she was, I think her presence made a big difference with other politicians maybe. And gradually, it's like I always said that when we started the paper, we were kind of revolutionary. But within a couple of years, we were part of the the foundation.
I see.
We were no longer revolutionary. People expected us to give them the news. And
I see.
So
that you just were part of the institution.
Yeah,
almost.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to feed you a line because I was like, I don't know where we're going to go. So thank you for taking us to Dwayne. Well, Pride does seems to like in my mind and just sort of like viewing how things go. To me, it seems positive, celebratory, even when there are things that feel like anti-LGBT kind of coming at this community, I feel like I still get a sense of, positive celebratory vibes all around. I wonder when it started to feel that way, that it was less protest, more celebration.
I think that probably happened early on.
Really?
You're saying that the photos didn't look necessarily like a celebration, but I remember the feeling among the people who were there that very first day. It was very jubilant, and we all felt a sense of togetherness as a community, and it's such a great feeling when you're experiencing that for the first time.
Absolutely.
And so it grows exponentially as the years go by.
If you're just joining us, I'm Blake Farmer. This is Nashville. We're talking today about the state of Pride and its history here. You can watch if you'd like today at youtube.com/@WPLN. Feel free to also leave comments there in the chat. We'll try to work them in the convo if folks can get around to it behind the glass. But were you there in the early days of Nashville Pride? Let us know. What do you remember? Leave us a note in the chat. I'm with Jef Ellis and Dwayne Jenkins. Dwayne, how did you find your way to Nashville from Buffalo? I mean, I know there are roads that connect us.
There are roads that connect. The short story is I had a great girlfriend who had just got married and moved to Nashville. I was looking for
a girlfriend who got married, not to you.
No.
Moved here.
Moved here.
Okay.
And she said, hey, it would be wonderful because, I'm going to get pregnant soon. It would be wonderful if you can be the godfather.
Oh,
but I want you near. And so at the time, the job I had at the time, I moved. I was either Atlanta or Nashville. And I know that people go, you didn't go to Atlanta. Atlanta didn't work out. So I came to Nashville.
Well,
so that brought me here. Literally.
Jeff, what about you? Are you from here originally?
I am from a small town in West Tennessee. But like 90% of the people you encounter in this part of the country, I went to school at MTSU.
Okay.
And
you're not going to name this town?
Oh, I'm from...
I mean, we might know it.
Well, maybe. I'm from Bethel Springs.
Bethel Springs.
Yes.
Okay, well, I hadn't been there. Okay, you're right.
See, I knew.
I was hoping that I'd have a story at the ready about the town you're from, but no.
Well, okay, it's in McNairy County.
McNairy, okay.
Does that ring you any bells?
Well, yes. I know that there is a McNairy County, but honestly, I'd have trouble telling you if that was west or east. So listen, you've really got. Is that northwest though?
It's,
is it
west?
Oh, it's just west. Okay, so it's not in the corner up there.
No, we're close to Memphis.
I'm going to stop talking about things I don't know about.
Okay,
Jeff, you started a newspaper.
Right.
It was called Dare. I think it was later called Query. What kind of material did you publish? Was it like a community calendar? Was it articles? What was needed then?
As I said earlier, we started the paper to provide a community center for the processing of news and features. And yes, we did have a huge community calendar that was a big part of it because it enabled a lot more people to be involved. We covered all sorts of issues. We did a lot about lesbian and gay history in Nashville and in Tennessee. And we covered a lot about AIDS.
Wow, I guess that would be, a topic that was relevant to everyone in the audience. That
It was.
At least know, yeah.
And one thing that a series I wrote was about how my family was handling the fact that my nephew had been diagnosed with AIDS and ultimately died. And it was a very personal, but also a very universal story.
Yeah.
And one thing that was interesting, because I had a degree in journalism, when I would interview people, particularly people who weren't a part of the lesbian and gay community, they would be surprised that I knew what I was doing. And I found that people would tell me things that they probably wouldn't tell a real reporter. And that was great. I got some really great info from that fact.
Yeah. Well, I assume one of the reasons you needed this kind of publication because at the time this was not widely covered in mainstream news.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. And also there was our community in the LGBTQ community was going to the bars. That was essentially it.
That's how you kept up on the news.
Yes,
you're saying
exactly.
I see. Well, Dwayne, when you arrived in Nashville, how did you get connected with the community, whatever that means?
Well, I immediately, probably within the week I arrived in Nashville, went to become a volunteer at Nashville Cares. So it was a quick connection. Yeah, it was a quick connection. And then after 2 years, I was 94 and 96. They saw the trajectory of those living with AIDS becoming more African American primary. You can see the numbers going up.
Wait, so even when you started, it was not primarily focused on African American men and women?
But the numbers were, going up. And so there was a focus group meeting at Nashville Cares to say, hey, what are we going to do about this? And I was part of that focus group. And then from there, we created like a Brothers United social group. And from that social group, they hired me to, this was April, and there was a grant that came available very, very specifically targeted to Black, same-gender loving queer men. And so they were like, hey, you started Brothers United, let's do this. So I changed my whole career and everything and started in 96.
Well, we need to take one last break, and when we get back, we're gonna talk about the need for a separate organization, even specifically to celebrate Black Pride in Nashville, which is something that is going on this very week and weekend. Dwayne and Jef will be staying with us. This is Nashville. Don't go away.
Funding for This is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Amazon, proud sponsor of WPLN's daily show, This is Nashville, engaging our differences so we can discover our unity. More on Amazon's community work at aboutamazon.com. And Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee, working to help donors make more possible through the power of community giving. More at cfmt.org. And Davidson County Clerk's Office with a reminder that most license plate renewals may be completed at area kiosk locations, including Bordeaux Library, Farmers Market, East Branch Library, and Bellevue. More at countyclerk.nashville.gov.
We do our annual membership drive in fall. It's a little different this year, so maybe you can help us. I'm Holly Kernan, president of Nashville Public Radio, and I wonder if you have creative ideas for our fall fund drive. Or you can just tell us why you care about NPR and our work. Reach out to me at holly@wpln.org.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. Pride events are under threat across the nation. Funding's being pulled by corporate sponsors. Political wins are not in their favor, and yet the events carry on. In fact, this is the big weekend for Nashville Black Pride. Dwayne Jenkins is board president of Nashville Black Pride, probably responding to texts while we're live on the air because it really is. Dwayne's right here. Jef Ellis is also with us, who's chronicled some of the evolution of Pride as a journalist in Nashville through several of his publications. Still with us, and we are streaming video from the studio. It's at youtube.com/@WPLN. Let us know if you're there in the chat, and if you're involved in Nashville Black Pride this weekend, give us a shout out. We'd love to hear. So Dwayne,
Yes.
we started talking the hour about kind of this huge drop in corporate sponsorships for Nashville Pride. Has Black Pride experienced the same kind of thing?
No, we have not, which we're really thankful about. But again, we're much smaller than the Nashville Pride Festival.
Yeah.
Even though it's our 23rd year and some of the same sponsors still provide support, we were at just a different level. So they may have decreased it a little bit, but none of them completely dropped, which was great.
Not a single one dropped completely?
No.
Wow. What does that tell you? Or have you all been less about kind of putting corporate names out there and that it was almost a quieter thing that they were doing?
It may have been a quieter thing they were doing. And again, at the levels, of course, you've got $1 million Pride Festival. That's totally different than a much smaller. I mean, our thing is less than 20,000 to try and do a whole weekend. So it's completely different on that. But, because of budgetary things, everyone, as Tina had mentioned in the earlier interview, budgetary costs are a little bit different. So they'll say, hey, we still want to support. Will you take this? Of course we're going to, like she said, of course we're going to take it. Thank you very much. And we'll just shift around and do some things a little bit different.
Well, when did you start to see the need for having a separate entity that was Nashville Black Pride?
Again, this came in the early 90s. As Jeff was talking about, the focus was a lot of HIV prevention and going to the different conferences. As a staff member of Nashville Cares, most of the heads of all the Black Prides in the country were also involved in HIV.
Wow.
And so you always had the connection there and the partnership. So they were like, well, what are we going to do here? Let's make sure we have testing here. And so at the time, the way that Nashville Pride and Black Pride connected was we always had, through the Brothers United program that I mentioned earlier, through CARES, we will always have a table during Nashville Pride. And at the time, they were like, hey, it was a week-long celebration. And so every sort of demographic had their night. So it was a ladies' night, there was a Black night, there was this night, and we had that night. And we had did that from 96 on up. And sort of at that time, it was so many people that would come to that one day. People were like, okay, we come out here and I may not necessarily see you at the festival. The festival is huge. You may not see all the same people. And I'm like, why are you all coming out there? And it was very intentional, and it made us very aware that if you curate something that is open to everyone, but we really want more Black and brown people to show up. I want to look you in your eye. And they were like, oh, this is for us? Oh, cool.
Yeah,
we will be there.
I see.
And so that's how it sort of helped. And that's how I created Nashville Black Pride.
Well, it doesn't seem like it's trying to be a competing event by any means. I mean, it's not at the same time. It's not in June.
Right.
I assume it's intentionally on this weekend, which is National Coming Out Day on Saturday.
Well, it's moved around over the years. Yes, it's moved around. We actually, when we chose our weekend, was really more about the other Black Pride organizations under the big umbrella of the Center for the Center for Black Equity, which is our big umbrella thing. So all the Black Prides at the time, we were trying not to mess up their dates. So that's why we chose October.
Well, is it also intentionally a little more not out front? I mean, it's not like a parade down Broadway, you know.
Right.
In fact, where the site where a lot of the events are, I actually had to look up on a map because I wasn't sure what it was, because it's over in Inglewood and kind of out of the way.
Right.
Is that intentional, or is it just the size group, or is it kind of meant to kind of welcome people who aren't looking to make a big public statement?
At first, it was intentional. We did different things. We knew we didn't want to do a festival because there was already a festival, and we were already part of the festival. So that was easy enough to do. But we thought, you know what? If we curate these different spots in different places, it'll keep the cost down. It'll do some other things, so it'll be a little bit easier to maintain. And so we've just kept that over the years. So we're always at different venues each year. You know, if we have a host hotel, we did that for a while. But then that became differently once, Airbnbs and all the things happened. So we always have to tweak a little bit as we, grow.
Yeah, so you're in your 23rd year of this event. How has it evolved?
It has evolved, as Jef was saying earlier, when you think about the first one that we had, a few hundred people. And then as it kept growing and growing, of course, there'll be more people at the bigger functions, the parties and stuff like that. You'll see the 600-700 people just coming out to have a good time. But you also have most of the Black Prides, including Nashville Black Pride, really focusing on some of the town hall meetings, the workshops, all the things like that.
Really?
And so
it's kind of doing some business almost.
Absolutely. We have to do business. It's always been sort of a political thing to go, not political in that way, but a political stance of going, hey, these things are going on. Did you know there's a new author out? Did you know there's a new film out? Did you know about these things? And again, this is prior to the internet growing so vastly. So now we're just trying to keep up with all of that so that we can continue to share the information.
Yeah. Jef, I wonder if so we're talking about Nashville Pride starting in 1988, Black Pride certainly starting, 10 years later or so. But as you've seen various laws passed or legal changes, same-sex marriage being legalized or anti-LGBT legislation passed in Tennessee, do you see that affect the mood of these events or the size and scale of these events?
Sure. I think that if political animals are out preaching anti-LGBTQ stuff, that it makes you, it unnerves you, I think is a good way to put it. But I think it also inspires you to get out of your comfort zone and to work against it. So it's all connected. Now, in the early days of Nashville Pride, there would be a religion night, and there would be a black night,
A religion night, interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. And because before Pride started, the Metropolitan Community Church had a annual Pride picnic. So that was always a part of it.
I remember that now.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you're saying that was kind of the initial sort of celebratory gathering of the community. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so it's it's very interesting. Whenever, and I think Dwayne will agree with me, whenever marriage equality became the law of the land, I thought I never thought I would live to see that. That was such an epic, shattering event in LGBTQ life in the world. I think it was an international phenomenon. That and then, just when we're getting and the feeling that things are going pretty well, all of a sudden the wackos are coming out of the woodwork and passing all of these anti-gay initiatives.
Well, did one put wind in the sails, or was one to have a dampening effect? Like, which is it? I mean, you could almost see that, like, when marriage equality exists, you're like, well, maybe we don't need a parade anymore. I don't know.
No, I think the overall importance of Pride celebrations is to give voice to the people who cannot speak for themselves. Nice. And to create that sense of community that we're all a part of. Now, that community is made up of thousands of different subsets of people, and no one's ever going to agree. Not 100% of the people will never agree on anything, but when there are others like you out in the world. I knew I was gay at 5. When I was in 6th, but I didn't know it had a name. When I was in 6th grade, someone called me a queer. I didn't know what that was. And I asked someone, and I said, well, it's a queer. And I said, okay, I don't know what that is. So I looked it up in the dictionary when I was 11, and it sent me to the term homosexual. And when I read that, I thought, oh, okay, there are more like me in the world because they didn't talk to me to put me in the dictionary. And it was a really eye-opening experience because I thought, okay, I'm not alone. At some point, I will meet my people.
You found it in a dictionary.
I found it.
I love it.
Well, the not alone point seems like it will go into the future because even from the evolution from 1988. The LGBTQ community has added letters to that list, and I imagine the tent being bigger makes it maybe a more complex group to keep it headed in the same direction. But you're saying the point is still that it shows people there are others like you. Let's come out into the light.
Exactly, and I firmly believe that as a gay man, we have to choose every day to come out at some point in that day. Don't you agree? You can be going to pick up your cleaning and you say, well, that's my husband's or whatever. You every day. And as you become as old as me, my former brother-in-law asked my niece one day if is Jef still gay? Because he thought I was old enough that I had gotten over it or something.
It just changed.
Yeah. And so it's if you are in a small town, if you're in a big city, and when you first realize you have feelings that you can't express out loud, you immediately think, I'm the only one. And when you learn that there are other people in the world like you, it frees you so much.
Indeed. Indeed.
Well, Dwayne's gonna, he's re-inspired now to put up with all the headaches that are gonna come from putting on Nashville Black Pride this weekend. Do you expect? I mean, is the day where you would have protesters kind of over? Is that a thing that you even consider at this point?
I don't know. We've been lucky enough not to have protesters, but I think that's because it's curated in rented spaces and different things, so it's not out in the public. Yeah. And so, we have security and all that stuff for different things, so we haven't faced that. But when we are at the Nashville Pride Festival in June, we get to see it and experience it. Yeah. And so that's also, really different. And because there are the other prides, Borough Pride, Franklin Pride, all the other prides, it's interesting when you see them there. And so you can experience it even if it's not your pride event, because we all celebrate with each other, and we all participate in each other's events. So it is disheartening to continue to see, but my hope is that it will decrease after time, because people go there and then they're like, oh, what are they doing? Oh, they're having a workshop. Oh, they're, doing health screenings. It's what are we protesting that they're doing?
What coming out of this weekend? What would give you hope? What would you see this weekend that would give you hope?
Smiles, more smiles and celebration. We're just in a troubling time, and so as we celebrate our celebration, our smiles is our protest.
Smiles as a protest. Dwayne Jenkins, board president of Nashville Black Pride, which I think some events start tonight and run through all through the weekend. Jef Ellis has been helping us put Pride in perspective as someone whose newspaper covered the early years of Pride in Nashville. Thank you both, and happy Pride.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for tuning in this hour. This is Nashville is a production of Nashville Public Radio. You missed yesterday's show? We learned about the historically black university we never knew about, Roger Williams University, where the Peabody campus of Vanderbilt sits today. And on Monday, had on Tamara Saviano to talk about her life in Americana music. You can catch up in the podcast feed or at thisisnashville.org. You can also ask a smart speaker to play the latest episode of This is Nashville. Today's episode produced by Josh Deepen. It was directed by Tasha A.F. Limley. Our board operator is Liv Lombardi. Special thanks to Mariana Bacchiao for her help with this one. The masterminds behind that theme music you hear are Larange and Namir Blade. You can comment, tell us what you want to hear on the show by emailing thisisnashville@wpln.org, and take up Holly Kernan, our new CEO, on her request for input on the fund drive coming up in a few weeks. She means it. Holly@wpln.org. This is Nashville. I'm Blake Farmer. Go in peace.
Harpeth Hall, working to make ambitions become achievements and to help girls become purposeful young women prepared to make meaningful contributions to the world. Sunday, November 2nd, Harpeth Hall will host an admission preview day for girls and their families, featuring student-led tours, premier programs details, and an opportunity to meet faculty and coaches. More at harpethhall.org/admission. Harpeth Hall, where girls in grades 5 through 12 learn to think critically, lead confidently, and live honorably.
This is 90.3 WPLN,
Nashville Public Radio,
and 91.7 WHRS Cookeville,
Nashville's home for Morning Edition and NPR News.
WPLN.org is where you can find more from WPLN News, including the Nash Villager, your human-powered newsletter and podcast, exploring Nashville news and history. Subscribe to both at WPLN.org.